if you've got direct deposit there. Joining me now, Minnesota Democratic Representative Dean Phillips. Congressman, with a welcome to you, sir. I want to go to a tweet that you posted. It was a picture of a nearly empty plane yesterday. You were on board that plane because you had to rush back to D.C. to vote on that emergency relief package. In fact, you and many of your fellow House members had to travel back to Capitol Hill because of Kentucky Republican Congressman Thomas Massey's attempt to force a recorded vote. Give me your response to that whole situation now that the bill has been passed and signed.
Well, first, Alex, let me just say that after watching Amy just moments ago tell her heartbreaking story, I just want to let the entire country know that I represent 435 colleagues who feel the same way, heartbroken for the pain and suffering that so many are feeling, and wishing everybody whose families are affected by this the best wishes. And we're going to get through this. It's going to be a tough number of weeks ahead, but we will get through this. And as for yesterday, Alex, it was a stunt that, if anything, posed more risk not just to members of Congress, but to their families and the communities to which we all return back to. And it was disappointing. I can tell you it was an example of the president and I sharing the exact same perspective. I'm sure some of you saw the tweet that he issued. And those types of stunts in times like this for political showmanship are deeply troublesome. Yeah,
the president wasted no words, shall we say, going after his fellow Republican, that is for sure. Sir, I know that you were able to help get some of the language into this relief bill, and part of this language is that it calls for a Congressional Oversight panel to review how this money from the legislation is dispersed. Tell me how that would work, and give me a sense of just how important it is to guarantee that the money goes to the right places.
Well, Alex, this is the most significant distribution of taxpayer money in human history, not just our nation's history, in human history. And I think everybody in this country, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, all want to see their tax dollars used effectively, efficiently, with accountability and oversight. And the bill, as it was originally written, lacked all of those controls. And I authored a bill last week, presented it a few days before the legislation was ultimately voted on in the Senate. A lot of that language was adopted into the final bill, and it simply establishes a panel, a congressional commission that will provide oversight, 5 members, bipartisan, and an inspector general, which is exactly the same format we used over 10 years ago during with TARP. And it is simple, it's effective, and it's a mandate. This is not an elective, if you ask me.
Well, Congressman Phillips, here's the problem, and I know you know it because the president put out a statement last night in which was said that the Trump administration does not recognize that congressional oversight as being valid. What's your reaction to that? What can Congress do to ensure that the president does not ignore this provision?
Well, Congress has abdicated a lot of its responsibilities lately, and a lot of us are tired of it. This is a perfect example. The president wasted no time in dismissing perhaps one of the most integral parts of this legislation, which is oversight. This is not a partisan issue either. This is something that Democrats, Republicans, and Independents like-mindedly want and deserve, and we should require. I will be a very vocal voice in Congress to ensure that the president and the administration and the Treasury Department does not dismiss the responsibility that we have to provide oversight. You know, this is $500 billion that without oversight, without controls, and without accountability can be used in any manner the Treasury Department so desires. And that's not effective governance, and I will absolutely join my colleagues in ensuring that we provide what is necessary and required.
Congressman, Speaker Pelosi already talking about pressing for a 4th relief bill. I mean, do you have any sense of how soon those discussions could begin, what it might look like, what it might include that has not been in the previous 3 packages?
You know, Alex, I think it's fair to say that the first bills were designed to weather the storm, to give people enough resources to get by and buy their necessities, to allow small businesses to keep their doors open, to ensure our healthcare system is resourced as much as we possibly can. And then we will assess where we stand relative to the virus, to the epidemic. And then phase 4, in all likelihood, will be either a continuation of getting us through the storm, or if we've made it through, a package to stimulate the economy. And I will see to it that consumers drive which businesses succeed and which ones fail. That should not be the role of government to pick winners and losers. I hope we get there sooner rather than later, but rest assured, Congress has Americans' backs right now. I've never seen the degree of bipartisanship, thoughtfulness, respect, decency amongst members as we work toward this. Not always true in leadership, of course, but I'm optimistic that we will come through. We are listening to our constituents in all 435 districts all around the country, some of the most heartbreaking stories imaginable. We bring those back to Washington, and rest assured, we will act, and we will emerge from this a different country, there's no question, but I'm optimistic that we will be a more compassionate, respectful, and wonderful nation.
Minnesota Democratic Representative Dean Phillips, I got to tell you, that is exactly the note that I want to end this on. Very positive, very optimistic, and more power to you is what I say. Thank you so much for your time.
Optimism is just as contagious as fear.
I agree. Good for you, sir. Thank you so much.
Keep the faith.
Right.